Hello, everybody. So today we're doing factoring practice. We're going to do this just like all of our other homeworks. So I'll give you a second to work on it. You type in your answer. If you get the same thing as me, then you can move on to the next problem. If not, you can watch the explanation. So go ahead and try out this first one. All right, so looking at this, I have 8, 6, and 10. Well, to me, I think the biggest number that'll go into all three of those would be 2. So I'm going to pull out a 2. And then I'm looking at it. They all three have b's. But which one is the smallest amount of b's? Well, just b to the first, so 2b. So now we're just taking that out. So negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. I had 3 b's. I took one away, so that leaves me with 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so plus 3. I had 2 b's. I took one away. That leaves me with 1b. Plus 10 divided by 2 is 5. I had 1b. I took one away, so there are no b's. So that's what we should have gotten. Go ahead and try out the second one. Okay, so for the second one, looking at this, the biggest number that goes into all three of those, well, I look at my smallest number, and it's 8. 8 does go into 16, so I'm going to pull out 8. And then my p's, they all three have p's, but 5, 4, 3, 3 is the smallest. So now we're going to divide. 8 divided by 8 is 1, so I'm not going to put anything. I had 5 p's. I took 3 away. That leaves me with 2, so p squared. Minus 16 divided by 8 is 2. I had 4 p's. I took 3 away. That leaves me with 1. Plus 8 divided by 8 is 1, so I'm not going to write anything right now. I had 3 p's. I took 3 away, so that leaves me with no p's, so I'm going to go ahead and write that 1. All right, go ahead and try out the next one. So looking at this, 28, 35, and 21. Well, I thought about it and said, what are factors of my smallest number? Well, 7 is a factor for 21. 7 goes into 28 and 35, so I pulled out a 7. Then I'm looking, they don't all three have m's, so I'm not going to pull out any m's. 28 divided by 7 is 4. 35 divided by 7 is 5. The m just rides along. 21 divided by 7 is 3, and the m to the 6th just rides along. All right, go ahead and try out the next one. All right, so looking at this, my smallest number is 7. Well, 7 goes into 63 and 49, so I'm going to pull out a 7. And then I have r's on all three, so 3, 2, 1, so I'm going to pull down that 1r. Now we're just dividing. Negative 63 divided by 7 is negative 9. I had 3 r's, I took one away, so that turns it into r squared. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1, so I'm just going to put a negative sign there. I had 2 r's, I took one away, so that leaves me with a 1r. Plus 49 divided by 7 is 7. I had 1r, I took one away, so that leaves me with no r's. Now, for all of these, you could have pulled out like a negative. So if I would have wanted to make this 9 a positive, I could have pulled out a negative 7, and that'd be fine. I would give you credit for that either way. All right, for 5, go ahead and try it. So looking at this, 4 is my smallest number. It does go into 16, so I'm going to pull out 4. Well, we have 3 n's, 2 n's, and no n's, so I can't pull out any n's. So let's go ahead and divide. Negative 4 divided by 4 is negative 1, and then n to the third just rides along. Negative 16 divided by 4 is negative 4, and the n squared just rides along. Plus 16 divided by 4 is 4, and there is nothing else, so we are good to go. All right, go ahead and try out this next one. So looking at this, I looked at 9. 9 doesn't go into 24 though. So then I thought about my factors of 9. Well, 3 is a factor of 9. 3 goes into all three of those. So I'm going to pull out a 3. I have p to the third, a 1p or no p's. So I can't pull out anything. So now we're just dividing. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. P to the third just rides along. Minus 24 divided by 3 is 8. And the p just rides along. Minus 18 divided by 3 is 6. Awesome. Okay, so now we are factoring by grouping with 4 terms. So go ahead and try out this one. So looking at it, we're going to split it in half. Well, first thing, is there any GCF for this whole thing? 5 doesn't go into 32. And that looks like it's it. So no, there's not. So we're going to split this in half. So we have 25 and 40. The biggest number that goes into both of those is 5. And then I have into the third, into the second. I'm going to pull out into the second. So that's going to leave me with 25 divided by 5 is 5. I had 3 ends. I took 2 away. That leaves me with 1. Minus 40 divided by 5 is 8. I had 2 ends. I took 2 away, so there is no n. Now, for this next one, you can either look at your GCF or you can kind of cheat and make it so that it looks like what's in the parentheses for the other one. So I looked at it and said, okay, 20, I want it to look like 5, so I'm going to pull out a 4. I'm going to pull out a positive 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5n, minus 32 divided by 4 is 8. So my final answer is going to be everything out in the front, so 5n squared plus 4 and a set of parentheses, and then whatever was in the parentheses. There we go. Okay, go ahead and try out this next one. So looking at this, all 4 of these should have a GCF. I'm thinking it should be 3, so I'm going to pull out a 3, and then I can't pull out any K's. So let's double check and make sure that I was right. 24 divided by 3 is 8k to the third, minus 72 divided by 3 is 24k squared, plus 5k minus 15. And then none of those have a GCF. Yeah, 5 and 8 don't have anything together. So we picked out the GCF. We're good to go. So now we're doing the same exact thing as before. We're splitting these in half. So let's go ahead and try this out. We have 8 and 24. Well, I can pull out an 8, and I can pull out a k squared from that first section. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. I had 3 k's. I took 2 away, so that leaves me with 1k. 24 divided by 8 is 3. And then I had 2 k's. I took 2 away, so I just have k minus 3. Plus, what can I pull out of this? So I have 5k. I want it to look like a plain k. So I can pull out a 5. So that's going to leave me with k minus 15 divided by 5 is 3. Okay, so now we're just finishing this up. Everything out in front, so 8k squared plus 5. And then what was in the parentheses? K minus 3. All right. Go ahead and try the next one. So looking at this, I have all even numbers, so I know at the least I can pull out a 2 at the very beginning. And I think that's all I can do. So I'm going to pull out a 2. So 42 divided by 2 is 21x to the third, minus 112 divided by 2 is 56x squared, minus 30 divided by 2 is 15x, plus 80 divided by 2 is 40. So looking at all these, there was nothing else I could do because 15 and 21 don't really, or they have 3, but 56 doesn't work with those. So we're good to go. So now we're splitting them in half again. So we're doing the front half and the back half. So we have 2 parentheses, 21 and 56 both share 7 and x squared. So 21 divided by 7 is 3. I had 3 x's. I took 2 away. That leaves me with 1x. Minus 56 divided by 7 is 8. I had 2 x's. I took 2 away, so there is no x's left. Okay, so now I want to make this second part look like that 3x minus 8. So negative 15, what do I have to pull out to make that into a positive 3? A negative 5. So that leaves me with 3x. 40 divided by 5 is, negative 5 is negative 8. So my final answer is 2 parentheses 7x squared minus 5, 3x minus 8. Okay. Go ahead and try out this next one. So again, we have all even numbers. So that tells me at the very least I can pull out a 2. And I'm pretty sure that's all I can pull out. So I'm going to pull out a 2. But they all have p's. So I'm going to pull out, well, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to pull out 1 p. So let's go ahead and do this. 112 divided by 2 again is 56. I had 4 p's. I took 1 away. That leaves me with 3 p's. Minus 128 divided by 2 is 64. I had 3. I took 1 away. That leaves me with 2. minus 14 divided by 2 is 7. I had 2 p's, I took 1 away, so that leaves me with 1. Plus 16 divided by 2 is 8. I had 1 p, I took 1 away, so that leaves me with no p's. And then 7 and 8 don't have any common factors, so I know that I pulled out the biggest number. Now we can go ahead and split this in half. So looking at my first half, very first thing I'm going to write down is just my 2p. 56 and 64, what goes into both of those? I said 8. And then I had 3 p's or 2 p's. I'm going to pull out 2 p's, so p squared. 56 divided by 8 is 7. I had 3 p's. I took 2 away. That leaves me with 1. Minus 64 divided by 8 is 8. I had 2 p's. I took 2 away. That leaves me with nothing. Okay, so this looks almost identical to that second parenthesis up in the top, but I want the signs to switch. So what I'm going to do is pull out a negative 1. So negative 7 divided by negative 1 just leaves me with 7p. 8 divided by negative 1 is negative 8, my bad. Okay, so now they do look the same. So my final answer is going to be 2p, parenthesis, everything out in front. So 8p squared minus 1, and then whatever's in your parenthesis. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and try out the next one. All right, so looking at this, the smallest number that I have for all four is 4, but that doesn't go into 7. And then 16 doesn't go into, or 7 doesn't go into 16, so there is no GCF. Now looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and split it up. So for the first half, 4 does come out, and that a squared can come out. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. I had 3 a's, I took 2 away, that leaves me with 1. And then 4 divided by 4 is 1. I had 2 a's, I took 2 away, so nothing, so I'm going to put a 1 there. For the second one, how do I make those look the same? Well, I can pull out a 7. So I can just look at this and say, I want to pull out a negative 7 because I want this answer, once I divide, to become positive 4. So that'll be 4a plus 1. So my final answer is 4a squared minus 7 and 4a plus 1. Perfect. Okay, go ahead and try out 20. All right, so looking at all of these, well, I noticed that 14 and 21 were both here, and I knew 7 went into both of those, so I went and I tried to see if 7 went into the other two, and it does. So I'm going to pull out a 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2 into the third, minus 84 divided by 7 is 12 into the second, 21 divided by 7 is negative 3n, and 126 divided by 7 is 18. Perfect. Now we can split them in half just like before. We keep repeating ourselves over and over and over again here. So 7 parenthesis, what goes into 2 and 12? Well, 2n to the second. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. I had 3 n's. I took 2 away. That leaves me with 1 n. 12 or negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. And then I had 2 n's. I took 2 away, so that leaves me with no n's. For the other side, I can pull out a negative 3. So negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a positive 1 with an n, minus 6, because 18 divided by negative 3 is negative. So now I can write my final answer. I have 7, parenthesis, 2n squared minus 3, because that was out in front, and then n minus 6. Okay, so I am about to run out of time on here, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this video and then go ahead on to the next one to finish up checking your answers. Have a great rest of your day, guys.